y'all. I'm cooler than cool, cooler than the most. I'm cooler than the other side of the pillow. I'm Cool Rob. Welcome back to another episode of the Cool Rob Show, live from the new bullpen. You can see her beautiful face over there. I'm going to introduce her in a minute. We're going to get to that. But yeah, man, shout out to Movie Hood TV. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget to subscribe to Movie Hood TV. Don't forget to subscribe to Cool Rob TV. Don't forget to like. You can dislike, leave comments at the bottom. We're looking for new guests. You know what I'm saying? We're doing it big, y'all, season 2. And I'm so wonderful. And I'm honored to be able to introduce this beautiful woman right here. Special guest tonight. But before I do, since we got a special guest and since we got a woman, you know what I'm saying, on the Cool Rob Show, I thought I'd surprise her and surprise y'all with something special. You ready, babe? It's something slight, you know what I'm saying? You ready?
Okay.
All right, so since you're a special guest and you're on, I thought it'd be fitting to play this real quick. Okay. All right, y'all. You know, it's ladies' night, y'all. Let's get it, y'all. All right. Special guest tonight is Miss Thea Richard. Let me ask you something, though, because I was sitting here thinking about this. Okay. Is it Thea Richards or is it Thea Richard?
I've gone by Thea Richard my whole life, but when I went to teach high school and my father recently passed, I changed it to Richard. It's spelled the same, but just pronounced differently, but I take either one.
I love Richard. I ain't gonna say a lot. See, I love Richard.
Same.
So tell me and tell everybody that's on the Cool Rob Show that's gonna see this about yourself.
All right. Well, first, thank you for having me. I'm delighted and excited to be here. I don't even know where to start, but I will start with my childhood since my father was in the U.S. military, and that allowed me to be raised in Spain. So I went to Spain when I was 9 months old. So I grew up in Spain, lived there for almost 20 years. And the first time I lived in the United States was to go to college. I went to William & Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia. It was a culture shock, even as an American, having a chance to live in my own country. And then I went to college I finished my degree and got a master's degree at American University. And ever since I've lived in the DC metro area. I worked for 20 years in international affairs, public diplomacy, worked on elite programs on behalf of the Department of State at nonprofits. And the last year I decided to become a teacher. I realized there weren't many minorities in the field of international affairs. And the way to help increase that was to bring that exposure to students and to high school specifically. And I became a high school Spanish teacher just this year.
Now, see, what y'all understand, y'all, is me and Thea, we have these type of conversations all the time. I tell her all the time. We every time we talk, we get it in for at least 2 hours about the same stuff that you hear on here. The same, I mean, we go from politics to world news. We can talk sports. We can talk the justice system, the school system. We get it in. And so, but, you know, like I say, so I already prepared myself because I knew where you kind of was going. And so my next question would be, can you tell me and the viewers, what was it like growing up in Spain, living in Spain?
Yeah, so it was very interesting because I am, obviously you can tell by my skin color that I'm a Black woman, and there weren't many minorities in Spain. So exactly, so I always stood out. But at the same time, I was able to learn the language very young at the age of 12. And because, you know, I'm a very open, kind, you know, my family, my parents are amazing. My brother's even nicer than I am. And we just got along with the community and we just blended in. So we were able to, I always say that I embraced both cultures. So I might spend a whole week celebrating Semana Santa, Holy Week, and Dia de los Reyes, which is Three Kings Day. But then on the 4th of July, you know, I'm actually got a chance to sit next to Lee Greenwood right before a concert and hear him sing, "I'm Proud to Be an American." So, you know, my Spanish friends would come over for Thanksgiving dinner. I'd have American friends and we'd come over, you know, for La Noche Buena, which is Christmas Eve. So I really love living both cultures and being able to really learn about Spain and the US and embracing both. Obviously, I was able to learn the language fluently, so I am, you know, very proud to be bilingual and went on to study French and a little bit of Chinese.
That's beautiful, beautiful right there. Like, go on and on and on.
Yeah, but the Spanish people are amazing, and it was just, you know, we were so well embraced and loved and treated so kindly that I love and miss it every day.
I got some stuff coming up about the Spanish in a second.
Okay.
You know, I got it all right here. All right. Here's a question I kind of thought of. I don't know where this came from, but
Okay.
does Spain have any sports teams?
Yes. So the biggest sport in Spain is soccer,
Okay.
or as they call football. All right. So they have La Liga, which strangely is dominated mostly by two teams, Real Madrid and Football Club Barcelona, FC Barça. And then Atletico has now made that more of a three-way competition. So soccer is huge in Spain. So the World Cup is amazing, the vibe. But then other sports like handball, water polo, and cycling. So the Tour de France is huge. Miguel Indurain is a many-time winner, and basketball has grown. So like Pau Gasol, Marc Gasol, they both are from Spain and are huge in the NBA. So yeah, it's got its fair share of sports and sports addicts and sports lovers.
Oh, you killed me with that Tour de France, because you know I used to love Lance Armstrong. I could not believe it when he finally got caught. So
Yeah.
we can do
Yeah,
Lance Armstrong another day.
Okay.
Here's a question. Another question I have for you.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure you still know people that live in Spain today, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm on the phone with them almost weekly, especially with coronavirus and everything that's happening around the world.
And so with everything that's happening around the world, as far as the George Floyd situation, COVID, did Spain protest?
They did. They had huge protests in Madrid. They were, shocked, upset, really hurt to see such violence in the United States and not really feel like there was justice given. So just like in Berlin and Australia and all over the world, Spain definitely had huge protests. There's a lot of Americans, that live there and have studied abroad. So there's a huge love that they have of the United States. And they also in unison, marched and were, vehemently opposed to and upset about what happened in the United States and showed their solidarity.
That's very interesting because, like I said, you like all over the world, it's protesting everywhere. So thank you to the Spain people for representing, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I was so proud of them. I had friends, check on me to make sure, as a Black woman, how am I doing and how is it impacting me and anything they could do to support me and, and all people in the United States, which was beautiful.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I got a question coming up about that too. You beat me to it.
Okay.
Beat me to it.
All right.
Let me go to the Spanish. Right.
Okay.
I had prepared a couple of things I wanted to ask. Tell the people why you choose to teach Spanish.
Yeah. So I, like I said, have been almost 20 years in public diplomacy, international exchange, and I was, went from sort of mid-level career right up to directing and leading the program. And so one of the things I wanted to do was to make certain that, I wasn't the only one in my organization at a leadership level, and not even the highest level in some of the organizations I worked at. And I'm like, I kept trying to make sure that I was recruiting at Howard University, getting some diverse candidates, HBCUs, and really getting applications, or I should say, announcements out about job postings everywhere. But I still really didn't get a high number of minorities from what I could tell. But I was able to interview and definitely hired minorities, and I'm proud of that because I think international affairs should be very diverse. And then I thought, there could be even more people that are not exposed to it, and more people that that Spanish can be huge for their professional growth. Right. I mean, the Latino population is now the largest minority in the United States. And with that means Spanish language is also growing. So, even if you don't work in specific international affairs, like the high school students I'm working, they might want to go into construction. They might want to go into doing hair. And they're going to be working either alongside Spanish-speaking individuals, or they may be their clients because that's a growing market. So, for them to be able to have that language in their back pocket, I think is amazing and also will give them exposure. So that's the reason why. And my mother also was a teacher. She was my 10th grade English teacher.
Wow.
And taught during the segregated South. So, I grew up thinking about education and teaching as a field, and then decided she taught English, ironically in Spain, but she also taught English in the US, Baton Rouge, Maryland and Virginia. And so my strength is Spanish. So I wanted to be able to teach Spanish and do like she did, you know, mold the minds and really make an impact, hopefully on the students on, you know, that I teach.
To this day, I want to learn Spanish. Not that I can learn right now would be Spanish. Just me being a young Black male myself, and if I had that a part of my repertoire, well, tell them where I'd be at.
Exactly.
All right, so can you speak a little bit Spanish to us?
Sí, sí, te puedo contestar en español. Siempre la pregunta es qué decir porque yo no sé cuánto se entiende el español, pero soy súper orgulloso de aprender el idioma, de hablar el idioma y compartir como dos partes de mi vida, el español y el inglés, con los que están escuchando ahora.
Okay, now what did you say?
No, I said I'm proud to be able to speak Spanish. A lot of times people say, speak Spanish, and you're like, well, what do I say? And so I was saying, you know, it helps show both sides of the things that I've been exposed to in my life, living in Spain, in the culture, and really being able, you know, to be proud, to be an American, to be proud to speak Spanish. And that I think, you know, many should learn the language and help in their success in their future careers as well.
Thank you so much for that. We appreciate you. Thank you for sharing this info to me and to everyone on the Cool Rob Show. Everybody's going to see this.
All right.
We appreciate you. But are you ready to get this started? This has been in been in the making for a while. So we finally here. You ready to get started?
Let's go. Let's do this.
All right. So I jumped ahead because I already said this line off. You ready to say it? Like I said, I'm going to say it again. Me and Thea talk all the time, offline, over an hour or more. Any and everything from sports, politics, world history, news, music, whatever, school system, justice system, whatever you talks about it. So we're gonna get it in y'all right here. Okay. And see a little bit of that. So the first thing I have on the list, George Floyd. And so I have a few things that I would like to ask you, and I want your opinion.
Okay.
All right, here we go. All right, so number one, the George Floyd killing. How did you feel about the George Floyd killing?
Oh, when I first saw the video, I was like, this isn't real. There's no way that there's a police officer and other police officers standing over there and kneeling on a human being, and then watching and realizing that this human being can't breathe. I was just shocked. And even though it hurt, it broke me inside, I knew this wasn't the only time and the only case. And that made it even that much harder to just watch this being, you know, live, not live, but watching the video of this live event that had been recorded and seeing someone lose their life is just heart-wrenching when the people that were doing it are to protect and serve. And I didn't feel like he was being protected and they weren't serving the population that they correctly as they should be.
See, as soon as you talked about it, my face changed quickly. You know how we talk offline. So, you know, I want to stay positive. So
exactly. No, I do. And, you know.
Yeah, it was crazy when I actually saw it for the first time. Let me stick to the script right here. All right, so being a Black woman who lived in Spain, did you face any racial tensions?
I did, yeah. So the neighborhood that I grew up in was very, very elite. It was the president of Spain, Julio Iglesias, you know, the king. His daughters would ride horses in my neighborhood. Arancho Sanchez Bacario played tennis down the street. So it was a very, very wealthy neighborhood. So there were a lot of, you know, things that came out. For instance, you know, when my dad was doing the garden and, you know, mowing the lawn, everyone was so wealthy. They had usually full-time maids, 24-hour. They might have someone that's just a seamstress to sew curtains. Right. They may have someone to take care of their kids. So when they saw my father, the gardener, many times people would ask him, oh, you know, how much do you charge? You know, can you garden? When I was younger, and it didn't hit me until I was, you know, probably 10 years, 15 years later, I remember a girl asking me, do I drink a lot of chocolate milk? And at the time, it didn't dawn on me because I love chocolate milk. I love regular milk. I love strawberry milk. So I then realized that she was trying to understand how my skin color was darker than hers. Another question I was asked, I lived about 4 blocks from the beach, right on the Bahia de Cádiz, this beautiful Atlantic Ocean. And someone asked me, do I go to the beach every day? Mm-hmm. And so it was in part, they didn't know how my skin color was different. They didn't understand. We would go to that social club that I mentioned where these famous and elites would play sports or go to a social events, and I was stared at, and people did think I belonged there. But then, they realized that I was friends with people that were there. And so I don't know if it was a pass or maybe, but and some of it I think is a shock to see someone of my skin color, someone, that's not like them at these events. So, there were times that I felt that I was discriminated against. Overall, these are minor stories, but overall I felt I was loved, embraced. People knew, I think many or some knew that I might also be American. So I think that helped. And I say that because there were a lot of, Senegalese or other Africans that were in Spain as well. And so, they might be vending and selling, items on the street. So I think a lot of the things they thought were that those were poor, uneducated individuals. And I think they were able to see that that wasn't the case for me. But yeah, there were things that were very uncomfortable, things, even on the military base, I felt that there, was some racism that I endured in the way I was treated. But overall, I was, very well liked. I even felt loved in the Spanish community, in the U.S. military community. So yeah, I mean, there were instances, but nothing that, was either something I couldn't overcome or had an opportunity to educate someone and say, I wish when I was little, I would have known to say, no, I don't drink chocolate milk. I am this skin color because it's how I was born, but it didn't dawn on me at that time to answer it differently. But yeah, so
let me ask you this though, because this wasn't a question I was going to ask because we were talking. It was just kind of in my head. What is it like now in 2020 in Spain?
Yeah, so the last time I went back was 2 years ago, and what has changed is, so when I grew up in this small town, the military base was called Rota in La Provincia de Cádiz, in Andalusia, and I lived in the town of Puerto de Santa Maria, which is named after Christopher Columbus's ship that sailed from there, the Santa Maria. So that is less than 10,000 population when I was younger, and now I think the population has probably doubled. With that, there weren't many non-Spanish individuals. There were people from the Roma community and, like I said, some Africans. But since then, and with the rise of the Spanish economy, many people from Latin America came. So I remember growing up and there was like a Venezuelan and, just a few other Latinos that were in my circle. And now it's, there's a lot more. So I felt as Spain became more developed and things got improved economically, many were coming to Spain to get jobs. And with that brought a lot of diversity. The Chinese are there, a lot of the little corner stores that were owned by the Spanish now are owned by the Chinese. There's a lot more diversity outside of the Spanish population that is there now because of, the economy. So yeah, it's a lot different. My, trips were vacation, so I can't speak if, and, I've heard people do experience racism at a greater extent. But I don't know that I had absolutely no problems when I went back any of my recent visits, and always reminds me of how much I love Spain, how much I care for Spain, how amazing the people, the food, the weather, the environment is, and so relaxed. Like, so relaxed.
I may want to visit Spain one day.
Oh, you would love it. Oh, you would love it. Great food. Yeah.
I do definitely, either you coming with me or I'm gonna hit you up and you tell me all the spots. How about that?
I got you.
So one more question that kind of circulated in my head before I get to Another one. Currently, right now, do a lot of Black people live in Spain?
I don't know the population numbers of. I don't know. I don't want to mislead and give a wrong answer. So I don't want to say, are there more than when I grew up? Yes, that I can say for sure. And some of it's because there are people in the U.S. military that may be Black and then marry, a local in the community. So now they stay there and they have kids and their kids have kids. There's generations from that. So yes, the minority population is growing, but I do not know the numbers and I'm not even sure what to guess, even if I had to throw out a number.
Well, here's another question.
Okay.
Do a lot of white people live in Spain?
Yes. Yeah. So, you're getting into sort of racial and ethnic questions, but there are definitely a lot. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now I'm going to kind of skew away from that until back to here. So, you do have a lot of diversity of friends, right?
Yeah.
Different ethnics,
mm-hmm.
so to speak. When George Floyd incident happened,
mm-hmm.
did they reach out to you? Like, I heard, other friends, it's like their white counterparts will reach out to them, So just tell us about that.
Yeah, that did happen to me. And I, like I said, I have lots of friends. I've always been surrounded by amazing individuals, but I do feel that some that I had not been in contact with years, decades, even for some that knew me, reached out, how are you doing? They asked a generic question, so they didn't specifically, and I don't think anyone's going to come out that hasn't spoken to me in 5, 3, 10 years and say, oh, how do you feel about race or what's going on? So they just asked me how I was doing. And it was 2 parts. One, I'm excited because obviously I had a great connection with them and it was great to reconnect. But then now how do I answer the question? So, I gave a general answer. I'm doing well, telling about my teaching job, things that I'm doing. And then I would say, this world is unbelievable right now with coronavirus, the murder of George Floyd, the amazing protests and the outpouring of support and love by all communities is a beautiful thing in the midst of all the chaos that's happening. So, I would add that at the end to kind of let them pull or push a little more if they wanted to.
I definitely piggyback off that.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is coming together. I mean, from
black,
brown, yellow, green, blue, purple,
mm-hmm.
everyone came together. So it touched me a little bit to see. It was almost like, of course, the general population of Black people was tired of it, but I heard a lot of white people speak out as well. They tired of it too. It was a shock to me how, I think I was talking to you about this. As a matter of fact, I was listening to the Paul Feinbaum show. I don't know if some of my listeners may know that show. That's Paul Feinbaum, SEC. He's like the voice of the SEC football, college football. He has his own talk show from 3 to 7. A lot of his fan base is kind of Southern white, people way down south, Alabama, Auburn, I'm just naming some
Louisiana.
Right, and so I was shocked to listen to this radio show and hear over and over again many calls from women and men just about what was going on, how they sick and tired of it, how, George Floyd killing was unjustified, shouldn't have happened, needs to be changed. I mean, it was everything. So I definitely was shocked. But like I said, you can tell me and this lady right here talks all the time, because one of the things you were saying, the last thing when you was answering the question, you said COVID-19, and that's next on the list, COVID-19.
Okay.
So I have just a few things, talk about COVID. What's your take on COVID-19?
Yeah, so COVID-19, and, I believe that it's this crazy virus that infects people. Unfortunately, no one knows the true, how to prevent it, and there's no vaccine to cure anyone that does get it. And it's horrific. I mean, to be in a school with students and teach or whatever field that you're in, and all of a sudden your world has completely upended is unexpected. Like I never even heard of something or thought anything like this in my entire life. But at the same time, I feel like there's things that, people are looking at differently. And hopefully it's a time to self-reflect, to reflect internally, not just about yourself, but about your interactions, about people, about your loved ones, about the world, the environment. I mean, there were dolphins swimming in the canals in Venice, and endangered species were being born, so there was a lot of cleansing that was happening in the environment. So that's amazing. But then there's the loss of jobs, and I wear a mask when I go outside and interact with people, even with my own brother, and, I love my brother to pieces, and it just feels awkward that I now have to interact with him in this type of format.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be, I don't think I have COVID, but I don't know that I don't have COVID because it's asymptomatic, and who's carrying it, who knows? So, there's a lot of challenges and a lot of things that are taken away from us, but hopefully we'll come out of this, cleaner, washing our hands a lot more, that will come out cleaner souls, that reflecting on what really does matter in life. Maybe some of the things we were spending on aren't priorities, and so just kind of that, like I said, that self-reflection and, a cleaner earth, a cleaner, hopefully, body, even with all the loss of life, which is, over 100,000 alone in just the United States is something that's unprecedented for, a health crisis. And it, like I said, it breaks my heart too, to see that. And all those that have lost loved ones or loved ones who are suffering, my prayers and my heart goes out to them. But I do hope that, of tragedy, that there is, I know that there's light, I know that there's hope, and I know positive things will happen.
Did you have any close friends or relatives that had COVID-19?
I did. There were some friends in Spain that were COVID, tested COVID positive. Sometimes it, might be like one of my best friends, her brother-in-law, that I've only met him once or twice. Right. So, just seeing those ties. And then in Louisiana, some relatives also had COVID. I don't know anyone that I'm aware of that has COVID that passed away. My uncle did pass away just 2 weeks ago, and he was in a senior home. I don't have the cause of death, and those are the things I don't know. So my dad's oldest brother may, but I definitely can't say. So it's hard. Not everyone knows what they have or has been tested for it, but I definitely know people who've been infected, have been sick. My students, as well. So it's there's a lot of close circles in the world that I revolve that have had infections. For sure.
Thank you for sharing that. Do you think the kids, the students, will return to school on time for the 2020-21 school year?
I think schools will start on time. The question is in what format.
Do you think they're going to be in the school, or is it going to be distance learning?
It's hard to say. I think Fairfax County just announced today that they're going to do in-person learning. And to me, it's a shock. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a health specialist, right. But I feel like there are so many concerns for the students, the educators, and just areas that haven't been thoroughly thought out that it makes me nervous. I've seen layouts of the classroom where the desks are separated, but then where does the teacher go? How many people can go to the bathroom? Lunch. Can you have the students separate from each other? I've been in the high school age group, but for younger kids, is that possible? Will they wear a mask the entire school day? Will there be temperature checks? There's so many things that have to be thought out that, I don't think any school, any educator, any school district would want to put a child at risk. But is that a concern? But on the other end, there's also the concern about equity in online learning that has also been a challenge that, that I see as well. So looking at both sides, I think both have their their drawbacks and both have their benefits. But then I've also seen students that were not thriving in the school environment, regular classroom, that are now excelling in their schoolwork. So, there's a lot of mixed emotions, and I'm sure schools and educators and the community and politicians will be thoughtful about the process. I feel it should be virtual. That's just my personal opinion. And just because I'd rather be cautious and know that all students and all educators are safe, but it's not my decision. It's just my opinion.
So real quickly, 2-3 weeks ago, because me and you had this conversation offline plenty of times.
Uh-huh.
A month ago, I'd have said, hell no. As you know, well, a lot of y'all don't know, I do work in a school. But I'm starting to believe that kids will be back in the schools on time whenever your school opens up.
Mm-hmm.
Just what I know now, again, is it going to be a population of 600, 700 kids? Who knows? Or is it, whatever, they got to work that out. But I'm starting to believe that. I think it's going to happen.
Yeah. Like I said, Fairfax did push, I think that's what they're pushing for. And I know for the kids to be in a school environment is the best environment for them, especially those with special needs or those that, need that teacher to check on them and make sure they're doing the work and not have the parents, who are distracted to do it. So, I think a child should be in the classroom without a doubt. I just, hope that everyone is careful because there are so many, concerns, and with a enclosed environment, kids could easily be exposed and then transmit it. So that's a concern that I know everyone has. I'm not here to say no one is not concerned and looking into these things. So you might be right. I don't know.
Let's see. I guess we're going to see.
Mm-hmm.
We talked offline last night, and I thought this was funny. I thought about this all day.
Okay.
I was talking about the graduation, babe. Get them a graduation. Get them kids a graduation. You said that you don't believe in multiple graduations. Can you tell the people? So we were talking about graduations, and typically a school has some type of promotion for, I believe, kindergarten and first grade. Mm-hmm. The next one is 8th to 9th grade, and then the graduation is the seniors. But Thea says she don't believe that they should have. No, you tell them. I always steal your word.
Okay. All right. So my thought, and again, this is just my personal opinion, is that I think graduating from high school and changing your life from an in-school structured classroom, whether you go to college or don't go to college, that's not necessarily the case for every student, that then you're going into life. And that life plan is not as direct, right? When you're in high school, you know what classes you have to complete in first grade, or the curriculum you have to do, how many classes you have to take from 9th to 12th grade. Like, that's planned out. Whether or not you agree with it or, want to take that many foreign language courses, that's what the school requires. So you know what that life is like. So I feel like graduation is that moment where now you're taking this change and going into a world that might be completely unknown and different, that doesn't have that same structure. So for me, and, I don't think a child from kindergarten, I think going to the next grade is just a step in life. I don't think it's a pivotal moment as that it is for high school. But what I would say is that maybe not a graduation, but I definitely think there should be an end of the year. If anyone knows me, I love to have parties. I love to throw parties. I love to bring people together, and I love to celebrate life.
So do I.
Yeah. So, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a huge celebration, that there shouldn't be a award ceremony, maybe the highest grades, honor roll should be, they should be celebrated. But I think that should be celebrated in first, second, third, fourth, fifth, every year, that those high achievers or the most athletic or, those that maybe started their own nonprofit, which, didn't happen when I was a kid, but kids now are starting their own nonprofits, their own businesses, like all those things should be celebrated. I just don't think it should be a graduation. That's just my opinion. If there's a graduation and someone invites me, I'm going to go. I'm going to support someone because that's what they've earned. Right. But I just think, it maybe not every few years. That way, when you have it, it's really special.
Now, I remember I agree with you.
Okay.
You said that, but I also, to me, if you want to celebrate as many times as you could. Because I say to you that I know for me, for example, when the job they used to just write little letters or notes and say, "You're doing a wonderful job. Keep it up. Good work."
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't no raise, but it felt good to know
Yeah.
someone recognized me. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. No. And like I said, I think those things should continue. Like that to me is not a graduation. That's the only line I would draw. But no, people should, they're high achieving or, or most improved. I mean, they don't always have to be the best. I think there's other things.
It's funny, people be slick because even though they don't say graduation, they like to use that word promotion, but they play the graduation music.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, we talked last night, right? You remember, babe?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's my favorite part of the graduation song.
Common circumstance.
Mm-hmm. That's part right there. All right. So when you hear that, just think of Cool Rob.
I will, but I just want to get one point. For instance, at the end of my class, at the end of the year, it was virtual, so we couldn't do what I had envisioned or like have I would have had like I call it the Feria de Abril in Mayo, so that we could celebrate Spanish culture with some Spanish foods, and then have like an award. But I didn't want it to just be the best student. So I had my students vote on different categories, who's the funniest in the class. And the one that I think kids were really proud of was who is most likely to travel the world. And, I had the students vote, and they chose, who was most likely to travel the world. Now that's not a normal prize. Right. But then when actually I had 2 students were voted most likely to do that. And when I said it to the student, she said, I would love to travel the world. And I just don't think people think of these things now that, that I just think that was a nice way for her. And then we had just watched some videos of 4 countries in the Caribbean and Central South America, actually C countries, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, and Cuba. And I said, which country would you like to go to? And she said, Ms. Richard, I can't decide. And I said, I know, it's because you would be the one most likely to travel the world. And she goes, yep, and I want to go to all 4. So, there's other ways to reward people or make them think about things and really, look back on Spanish as a language and travel as a way to learn about the world.
You guys ain't never seen Ms. Richard teach. It's perfect state-of-the-art teaching.
Thank you so much.
Say that. All right, y'all. Remember I told you, me and Thea, we get it in and we can talk about anything. We pivot from this to that, up and down. So now we're gonna get to the sports category. Ready for sports?
Oh yeah, love sports.
All right, here we go. Tell the people how you became a Saints fan.
Oh, that's easy. So both my parents are from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and like I said, they were always they weren't always Saints fans. I do have to step back. My dad was stationed in Oakland, California, so there was a time he was an Oakland Raiders fan. But then they, Saints was a newer team. But then they went back to their roots, and then my dad became a diehard Saints fan. And of course, my mother followed suit and raised me and my brother to be Saints fans. And I can remember my brother, we were in Spain, and back then the Saints were not doing well. It was during the Aints and the brown paper bags, and all of our friends making fun of us because we were Saints fans at the time. Now they've actually congratulated us since, we have a Super Bowl win. But I wasn't as big of a fan. And then probably about 15 years ago, I actually learned the sport of football. I love sports, but I didn't understand football. And now that I understand football and the game and a little bit more about the strategy and why, I was like, why do they have an offensive, defense, and a special teams? Why can't the same people play it? Like in soccer, you only have 11 people on the team and they go back and, that's it. You don't have the whole team come out and another team go in. I didn't understand it. But now that I do, I love it. I'm a huge Saints fan, went to the Super Bowl when they won, love the team.
I'm going to say Thea, she's a huge Saints fan. She loves the Saints. Here's another question. How did you become LSU Tiger fan?
No, don't do that. So actually, there was one summer I did a pre-doctoral program at LSU. And I also became an English instructor. The first time I taught English for at-risk youth in Baton Rouge was called Louisiana State Youth Opportunities Unlimited Program. And they had half day of English and math. And so I was instrumental in their English education. And then the afternoon was done in job training during the summer for these at-risk youth. So, I actually had an opportunity to, spend time at LSU's campus working as well as studying. And, my love for the school just grew. My grandfather worked at LSU. A cousin of mine is the first Black female to get a PhD in math from LSU. So it's, there's a lot of family. My family, mostly Southern University, and then some went to LSU. And so Louisiana's huge. So, Southern Jaguars and LSU Tigers are the teams that I cheer for down in the South.
So make sure y'all tune into the end of this video because you're going to hear Cool Rob's sports teams. So right. Who I root for during the sports season. Let's move on. Give us an early report, an LSU Tiger report, and a Saints early report. What do you know so far? What's going on in Saints camp and LSU camp?
All right. Well, for Saints, I'm gonna stick to football because, I don't know. I can't just stick to football and not be political. But anyway, Drew Brees is our quarterback, and I think he's going to come back. I do believe it's going to be his last year. I don't think he'll renew for a second year. The Saints have been fighting, and these last few years getting close. 1 year getting a little robbed. I don't want to say too much because, there's always controversial calls in football. But, I really, really, really think this is the year. I know Malcolm Jenkins and Michael Thomas were, upset with some words that Drew Brees said recently. I hope they patched up because we need that full team support to go in there to get on the field. To really rally. Our division, the NFC South, is going to be unprecedented.
Who's in the South one more time?
Yeah, so it's the New Orleans Saints, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We've got the Carolina Panthers and Tampa Bay.
Atlanta
Falcons.
Correct. So let's do a quick division report. So let's see. Atlanta been down the last couple of years, so you would think that what's that quarterback? Matt Ryan year. Carolina's going with Teddy Bridge this year. I like that pickup. That's a good pickup for Carolina.
I mean, as a Saints fan, it hurts and breaks my heart, but Terry Bridgewater is going to be an amazing.
It's time for him to move on from Cam. It was time. You know what I mean? Let's look at you got the Saints. Saints should be the front runner, and Tampa Bay, Brady. So that's going to be a show in itself. And Gronk, Gronk coming back, right?
Yep, they signed Gronk as well. And then we just picked up from Tampa Bay Jameis Winston as our backup quarterback. So you have a lot of QB shuffling within the ranks, and I hope we build up our defense so that we can have a strong showing in games. With the new change in the games, I know we had one of the hardest season lineups. It's still going to be a challenge with the Chiefs and other teams that we're going to be playing. But the love that Louisiana and New Orleans and Saints fans have for our team, if you ever go to a DC bar and watch a Saints game, it's like no other. It's a Mardi Gras party up in there. So we're going to love our team no matter what.
I tell the people that, I recently visited New Orleans for a birthday trip. And I had a time of my life. I imagine what it is and what it's like when the Saints playing. What's the old saying? When the Saints go marching in.
When the Saints go marching in. It is.
Do you got an LSU report right now?
So for LSU, with Burrow gone, another very outspoken individual who's been, speaking out for Black Lives Matters and for equality. With him gone and others on the team gone, I don't know. I follow more NFL than I do college. So Coach O is, he knows how to pull a team together. He knows how to motivate. Burrow said it was almost like, a father figure that he found in Coach O. And I know he does that for all his players, for the entire team. So I think there'll be a lot of pieces to pick up. But I know we'll be a formidable team no matter what. And I hope we'll be back-to-back champions. That would be awesome.
Gotta go through my team first. It's coming up, y'all. Let y'all know my team. Here's your moment, your time to shine, babe. Mr. Richard. How do you feel about the Breeze comments?
So listening to the comments, I know that he brought up about the American flag and his grandparents fighting, and that's why he felt that the players should not kneel. And, sometimes I think people say things, and, he obviously has a right to his opinion. One of the things that I think about was, an athlete responding saying, Drew Brees is in the locker room with a majority Black team, Black people. He's surrounded by, by Blacks. So for him to make a statement, maybe he didn't realize or, completely understand that no one was ever disrespecting the American flag. Like I said, my father served in the U.S. military, and he, thought that they had every right. Any individual had the right to go and kneel in front of the flag. That it's actually a sign of reverence when you kneel, and that's what the American flag stands for. It stands for people's right to speak their mind, and it was a way. Kaepernick was, I believe, trying to bring attention to a cause and trying to do so peacefully and get people's attention. And I always think it's funny. People say, oh, why don't sports figures use their platform to speak out about something? And then when they do, oh, well, that's a sports figure. Why should he speak out about something?
Fine, you blackball him, basically.
Yeah, and then to treat him completely unfairly. And I do think that they were never going to bring him back. Obviously, that has been the case.
Right.
Maybe now as a coach, I think there will be some reflection, because now people are saying we did protest peacefully as a Black group to fight for some of these justice and changes and ending of police brutality, and we weren't listened to. So now there's rioting, and now you're complaining about rioting. So, before people complain about things, maybe stop and listen.
There you go. I love that. Are you ready for sports with no fans, Ms. Richard?
Oof. As an avid watcher of sports, I'm going to go to like 4 or 5 Wizards games, DC United, Almost United, Nationals. I don't know if I even said the Wizards already, except for I am a diehard Saints fan, so that is my NFL team. I love being at games. I can't imagine like the vibe for the players. I'm not ready for it. Unfortunately, I understand the reasons that it may be that way.
Right.
But I do think that sports brings people together. I think music, I think art. And I hope those get preserved in schools and not have budgets cut them, because they really are ways. I was actually talking to one of my students today, and he says the way that he copes with everything is through music. He writes music, he writes, he pours his soul into music. He plays the piano and he sings, and that's how he expresses himself. So, I hope schools don't take that away. I know that wasn't your question, but I just want to throw that in there as an educator. But again, I think sports is a way to bring us all. And I think, with everything we've gone through, it's going to be great to watch teams compete for their championship titles and try to, do their best.
Well, I'm letting you know now, you better get ready, because there ain't going to be no 80,000, 70,000, 60,000 people in there.
Yeah.
It might be 1,000 people in there. So we just have to get used to it. But it's coming July 31st when the NBA start their season back up. They're going to Orlando, ESPN Studios, and it's not going to be a sellout crowd in there.
Right. But it's really exciting to watch the games and, get, things.
Only good thing about football is that they start kind of late. And so they get to see everything, how it works, and then they can, determine and figure things out. And by the time they start up, they should be good, because they'll be able to kind of observe what hockey, baseball, basketball is going to do.
Yeah, and also football, just like baseball's out, most of the stadiums are outdoors. So, that can also help with, not having insulated or buildings with a lot of air. So, yeah, I'm so looking forward to it all.
As soon as you say air, I start thinking of this song. Tell me how I can breathe with no air, no air.
I know that song. Always singing.
I know y'all still here, so like I told y'all, here's my sports teams. If y'all ever want to know who do Cool Rob root for during the sports seasons, I have 5 teams I root for heavily, hard. I mean, the wins are the greatest thing ever. The losses are the lowest feeling ever. Like, I feel these losses. Here we go. Baseball, New York Yankees.
Okay.
Hockey, Washington Capitals. Shout out to Aaron Judd and the Yankees. You know what I'm saying? See y'all soon when y'all start back up. Shout out to Alex O and the Caps. I see y'all soon when y'all start back up. I always want to go to a Capitals game too, but it looks like I'm going to have to wait for that. Yeah. All right, here we go. College basketball. The Duke Blue Devils. Hey, anybody know me know I love Duke. I'm talking about I follow them. I follow them all year round. I was just looking at some information on the Duke website earlier.
Wow.
So I don't care if they don't play with nobody in there. If they playing and it count, I'm watching. College football, and this with me and Thea is we go different. She loves her LSU Tigers. Yeah. Anybody know me? No, I love my Florida Gators.
Okay.
I'm the biggest Gators fan ever out there. Shout out to the Gators. Gator Nation, Gainesville, Florida, the Swamp. Let's get it. And last, NFL football. You know, see how I slumped my shoulders because, you know, it's nothing to really root for in the last 20, 30-something years, but I still love them. The Washington Redskins. So that's my sports teams right there. I root for them heavy, you know, during the when football season start up. You know, first is college, so you get your Florida Gators every Saturday. Then right behind us, Redskins every Sunday. And then a month later, here come college basketball. So I'm rotating back to back to back. All these teams. It's the best feeling in the world. The favorite, to me, the best sports time in the world is March Madness. What is yours?
Mine? I mean, I love World Cup, and actually really sad that the Olympics aren't happening right now for international sports. Mm-hmm. And I love DC United. I love being out at the games. I mean, I love sports. There's not a game I don't watch. And of course, NFL season kicking off, preseason all the way through the regular season is awesome.
I love it too. I was thinking about finally doing that NFL Red Zone package.
Okay.
Not the Red Zone. What is the other one, babe? Not the Red Zone. The one was DirecTV where you can get you can go live to the game. I forgot. I know it's not called Red Zone.
No, but I think Red Zones are the highlights. But
highlights. Yeah.
I don't know what it's called.
Slip my mind. We'll get it, y'all. All right, we get ready.
I do want to say congratulations on Ron Rivera as your head coach. That's going to be awesome to watch. That's all I'm going to say positive about the Redskins.
Well, you know, and it's funny you said that because I'm a diehard Redskins fan. I was the biggest non-Ron Rivera fan ever. I remember I was in a Redskin group, right? I was in a Redskin group on Facebook, and I was so outspoken. They kicked me out of the group, right? Kicked me out that damn group because I was in there going at them white people because they were some of the racist people ever. They were, you know, just in your face racism. You know, it wasn't like calling you out your names, but just some of their comments though was just like, yo, who are you talking to? So somebody like me going slam at them. I mean, every issue, whatever they, you know, they thought that because Ron Rivera was a new coach, you're supposed to jump on the bandwagon and just like him. And so I was outspoken. I was speaking against him, you know. I ain't like his moves. Okay. And they ain't like that. And one day I was going back and forth. All of a sudden, they ejected me right out of that room. And I ain't been back ever since. But it's cool, though. I'm still a Redskin fan. So much for coming on this show. Mm-hmm. It means so much to me. I had so much fun. I gotta ask you, will you come back?
Absolutely, yes. I look forward to it.
So it's a celebration, y'all. So guess what? Since she said she come back, guess what? I got something for you.
I love it.
All right. Here we go. All right. This is my favorite part of the show where I just basically give someone a chance to get the last words. And these last words, I love for people to thank it. You know what I mean? This is your chance, right? Let's say if you never came on the show no more, and it's your last chance to get any message you want to get out there to the people that's going to see this, what would that be?
I've always lived a life, and I feel like one of the biggest things in life is respect. love and respect, right? We should love everybody. Everyone has their, there's not a perfect human being. People strive to be perfect. And, I just think if there was more love and more respect, I think the world would be a much better place. And I've gotten a lot of love and respect, and I hope I've given a lot of love and respect. And I think that just makes a huge difference. I know it's just a simple way to live, but everyone wants to be respected and everyone wants to be loved. So give it.
That was beautiful. My last words, I'm gonna go with cancer patient, former NC State basketball coach, Jimmy Valvano. You know him?
Yeah.
Jimmy Valvano, just something simple. If you laugh and if you cry, that's a hell of a day. Never give up, never give up, never give up. Do you have any pages you want the people to subscribe to? If anyone wanted to get in contact with your business or whatever, do you have anything?
Yeah. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm also on Twitter. My handle is my first name, middle initial, and last name. So let me spell it out. TheaLRichard, Thea L. Richard. Anyone's more than welcome to follow me on Twitter. And I don't know my IG.
Don't worry,
but I'm on there.
I don't have an IG, but I want to try that. Cool.
Yeah, I love that it's more pictures, so that like I said, I love seeing people's lives and happiness, and seeing their stories. So
I like how you broke your name down. I just want to try that one time. Cool Rob. That's COOL-ROB. I just want to try that. So I'll give you my last words. Don't forget to subscribe to Cool Rob TV. Please subscribe. Like I say, subscribe. Hit the like button. Dislike it, hit the dislike button. Tell me what you think. If you want to see some changes, what type of episodes, stuff you want us to talk about. We're looking for new guests as well. Shout out to Movie Hood TV. Don't forget to subscribe to their channel as well, moviehoodtv.com. Matter of fact, one of the movie hoods just hit me. They may be on their way over here. You never know who's going to be on the Cool Rob show. Thea says she's coming back. We have all new guests that's coming. Shout out to O, Donnie, and Ray, the staple of the show. They'll be back soon. So I'm going to end it off. Thank you so much, Thea. I'm in it all. I love you guys. Cool Rob is in the building. Over and out.